Good afternoon, good morning, good night, depending where you are in the world. Welcome to the Global Maths and Science lesson. It's finally here. And we have the most wonderful, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Steve Sherman. And not just Steve Sherman, he's got an eccentric beard and suit. And hidden behind his eccentric beard and suit is his kitty cat, who is currently torturing him with claws. So what we're going to do is we're going to give a brief cover of what you do for the Global Maths and Science lesson. If you want to join in, the links are in the description, depending what medium you're on. It's going to be somewhere. Have a look. Click on the registration link and then go and get the resources, download them. Just going to cover very quickly what we're going to do. But first, we're going to say hello to the lovely, and then Steve, I'm going to cover quickly, and then Steve is going to delight us with his ideas for how to make fractions fun. Steve, welcome. He is, oh my goodness, a multiple award winner for global, what's the word? Spreading the joy of maths.
I'm a multiple award purchaser. If you purchase these trophies, it makes you look much better. So that does sometimes help.
Yeah, he actually does receive these awards. And you got a really prestigious one. Was it earlier this year or last year?
Last year was an interesting one. It was the Global Teacher Award.
That was
which
it.
Is quite a prestigious award.
That's huge.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we don't do what we do for awards or for reward. We do it because we're passionate about what we do. And every now and again, when someone notices, it does feel rather good. I won't deny it.
Yeah, it's a pity because I actually went to the Global Teacher Awards ceremony. It was held at I apologize. It wasn't the ceremony. It was one of the global teachers they did a talk at a conference, and it wasn't a ceremony. We saw a video of the ceremony, and it was just so lovely, and actually getting to know that person a little bit. Her thing was theatre and performing arts, and that's how she engaged the learners. But yeah, it's not about the awards, but the awards are proof that what you're doing is working, that you're being effective.
I hope so.
It is. Don't be so bashful. So there's a Steve Sherman from Living Math and Maths, isn't it? You've got the S at the end. You do it correctly.
Because we like you. We have the S at the end.
It's I would speak to people all around the world, and I never know who I'm adding an S for and who I'm taking it away from. So fantastic. So is there anything else you want to say? Just give us a flavor of what you're going to do before we go and cover what we're doing for the Global Maths lesson.
You did give me a suggestion that maybe we should touch on some fractions, and I thought a great way to do it would be to play some fractions games and show you different games that you can play involving fractions that will help you to better understand the concept, but also to have fun in the process.
Well, hopefully that's exactly what we're doing. But your ones are going to be online, aren't you? You're going to give us some links, aren't you?
They're not necessarily online. I'm going to show you how to play some of the games. We might use one or two online resources. You might even be covering all of them. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, we'll see. It's only a couple that we've got here, so I'm going to do those now. I have to talk my way through what I'm doing, and I'm told I shouldn't do it, but it's the only way I can do it. So there you go. I have to talk as I do it. Oh, look at me. Maybe I should turn off my green screen as well. That's better. I don't have invisible hands now, see-through hands. So when you download, the link is in the description. If you download the resources, if you want to get a certificate of participation, today is the Global Maths and Science lesson day. Not millions, thousands, hopefully millions in the future. Thousands of children around the world will be doing the same lesson on this today. And even if you don't do it today, if you do it in the next few days, you'll still get the certificate of participation, but you've got to register to do it, to get it. So this is simple. You just download the resource, and you get one of the first activity is these strips, and all you have to do is sort the strips. Now, this is something that I've had age between 5 and 14 doing this. You can do it with more ages. And of course, just because you're older doesn't necessarily mean you've reached a higher attainment level. And the great thing about this is a good introduction to fractions as well, because even very young learners can see the difference between this strip and this strip. This strip has 3 bits on it, 3 sections on it. And this strip has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 strips on it, sections on it. So even a very young learner can simply sort the strips, and you just sort them. There's actually 12 strips here, so you sort them 1 to 12. You can stick them on a piece of paper. You can number them, however many strips there are, or as your higher attainer, put what fractions they are. And then there's activities on there like finding the equivalent fractions, and you can start with a half for the young learners, finding out all the different strips that actually coincide with a half, so you can find equivalent fractions. So that's the first game. The next game, well, I just going down to very young learners. Again, very young learners, you can do fractions simply by sharing. Now that I've done in half, but what if I'd actually offered the young person that section and I'd kept that section, or given that to their friend or sibling? That might have caused a bit of controversy. So as you can see, we can do, and if there's 3 of you, then you've got to work out exactly, if you each get 3/3, which is not exactly that, but there's some great ways of working out thirds as well. And then as they get slightly older, you can play with manipulatives, and I've got this box of cubes. You can play with Lego, and you can make fraction walls with them, and you can just play lots of different fractions. And of course, one of my favorites, chocolate. And I've got lots of bits of chocolate that are divided. What have I done here? That are divided up, and you can work out fractions using chocolate, or you can get the real thing out. Just not very practical for me doing this. Now the next game, and this is the game number 2 for the global maths and science lesson. You need a spinner or dice, and the idea is you play with 2 people or 2 groups, 2 teams, and you throw 2 dice or spin the spinner twice. The spinner, by the way, can be as simple as a bit of cardboard. This template is on the resource page, and you can even use a pen. You don't need to use a thumbtack or anything, and then just spin it. There you go. That's a spinner. I'm using dice, but we always have activities that can be used with people who are living in very rural areas that don't have the access to all the resources. So this one, the idea is you throw, I'm getting it straight here, the other way, that's it. Each team throws 2 dice. So the smaller number goes on top, the larger number underneath. You can change that in future to make it more complicated, but the first time you play it, certainly smaller on top, larger underneath. And even very young children can say, okay, which row has 3 sections? Okay, that one. And then you're going to go 1, 2, you're going to go to the second section. So what I do is I put a ruler on or something to show that's where team number 1 got to. And then you can actually see the equivalent fractions on there, but you can talk about that another time. And team number 2, okay, so remember where team number 1 is. Team number 2 got 2, so which row's got 2? And how many sections? 1, 2. Oh my goodness, they got all the way to the end. So one team got there and the other team got all the way to the end. Which number is bigger? So which fraction is bigger? Well, 2 over 2 is bigger than 2 over 3. So 2 halves is a whole, and 2/3 is smaller than that. So that's a very simple way of playing the game. As the learners get older, you can, or more higher attainers, I should say, you can make bigger fraction walls, and there's lots of fraction walls that you can download from the website with the activity on it. And then, and I really love this one, if you're worried that your learners are too old for this, they'll enjoy playing it anyway. We've had, as I say, 14, 15-year-olds playing it today, and they enjoyed it. This one is nice. You start off with this. These are algebraic expressions. You start off, the first question is make x equals 1 and work out the expressions. what do you notice, what do you get, and then you play the game. So what you do, again, you throw 2 dice. You can say the smaller number and the larger number, whichever you want. Level. So the first one just determines the level that you're at, and then the second one, so we already threw it, was a 6. That's your number you substitute into the fraction, determine what the fraction is, and then you find out where that fraction is. Now this one gets more complicated because you're not necessarily going to have a line coinciding with your fraction. So this is a great activity for higher attainers to work out who wins the game. And of course you play multiple games, and you can play best out of 5 or best out of 9 or whatever, and enjoy playing. And I'm going to now pass the baton over to the lovely Steve Sherman, because when I'm doing the lesson, I do other things. But we've got Steve here today. So I'm going to work out how to, hold on, let me work out how to do this. And then, right, now.
When it's my turn.
Okay, and I'm going to feature you. There you go.
You are welcome to do so. First of all, I don't know why they call them happy claws, because they are certainly not happy for me. They are happy for this creature over here, digging them into my shoulder. And if you look at the chair behind me, I'll just move a little bit this way. You will see that that is not because of the friction from the back of my head. That is from a happy claws visitor every now and again who sits there and decides to redecorate my office.
And your shoulder.
I love your brownies exercise, but I have learned that when you've got 2 children, and you want to share brownies equally, what you do is you put the brownie on the table, you give the one child the knife, and you tell the other one, you get to choose the first piece. And what that means is that the first person who's got the knife is going to make absolutely certain that the second person is going to struggle to make that choice, because the 2 pieces are going to be equal. Let's just say it's not a pleasant experience. Oh boy, let's try that again. So
I think that's a mini panther, isn't it? You've got there.
She is a mini panther, and then she gets her claws stuck in the chair and in me, and she starts pulling, and then she decides she wants to come back again. And I'm wearing a very slight t-shirt, so it goes right through. But anyway, when you do share out 2 things and you tell the one child you cut and the other one gets to choose, child number 1, if they cut it a little bit lopsided, child number 2 gets to score because they get to choose the bigger piece.
Yeah.
So the minute you go and tell them that they get to choose, let me tell you, that first one is going to cut it so accurately that they sit there and they analyze it. They hold it up in the air. They've got to double check to see if maybe they might get some slight advantage, but not when it comes to chocolate brownies, sorry. So that is a very useful tip when you are sharing chocolate brownies with your kids.
That's a great tip. I have a sister with 3 children, and competitive, I should say. So if she doesn't already know that one, I'm going to share that with her. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I've got a Google Doc that I have created, and I will share that link with you. I just need to see if I can actually find my Google Doc. I'm just having a look to see where I put it. Let's see if it'll allow me to go into my screen. Oh, I'm on StreamYard.
You're on StreamYard. You can share, though. You should be able to share the screen.
I can share my screen. And if I share my screen, then it allows me to choose the tab that I want. And that will then take me straight to my Google Doc. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Sounds right to me.
So these are very, very simple games. You know the old game Connect 4?
That is so bizarre, where your finger appears behind your beard.
I know, I can do cool things. So if you're looking at Connect 4, the old game is where you've got 2 colored discs. You take turns to drop the disc that fall down to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And of course, the first one to get 4 in a row wins.
Yeah.
But if you take those discs and you start to write down fractions on little stickers and stick them on the discs, this is where it gets interesting because, for example, if I put down thirds, I only have to get 3/3 to make a whole.
No, you win if you get 3/3.
But if I've got quarters, then I need 4 of them.
And if you've got fifths or sixths,
then you're going to need 6 of them in a row. So you can make it more challenging by breaking them into smaller fractions. Obviously, if it goes to
sorry, I've only just shared the screen there. Right, we can see what you're talking about there. Wait a minute. So let me have a look at the screen. Connect 4. And so how do you know?
All right, so I'll zoom
guessing?
in a little bit. If I zoom in a little bit, maybe
can I make it? Can I do this? Hold on, see if I can do some. There, how's that? That's better as well.
Is that better?
Okay. Well, yeah, I've done it as I've maximized it as much as I know how.
Okay. Well, I will share the document with you so that you can obviously share this with all the people that are watching. But essentially, you've got Connect 4, you've got the game, and you go and stick little white stickers on the pieces, and you write down fractions of halves, quarters. In fact, halves would be too easy. You'd have to do thirds and quarters.
No, I'm happy with halves. I'm good with halves. That's fine.
But when you see halves, you only need two pieces, and then it's easy to win.
Yeah.
No, that would be too easy. Maybe for the younger ones, I suppose. But what is interesting is that you could win it by getting, let's say, 3/3.
Yeah.
And you can stick them in a line, and you've got a whole, and that is wonderful. But you could also win it with the color. So if I don't get, let's say, 3/3, but I get, let's say, for example, 2/3 and 2/4, but they make a line of 4, I can still win.
So Connect 4 still works. The basic rules of the game still work. So you have to think about 2 things. You're not just thinking about the fractions. You're also thinking you have to keep an eye on the colors. And I bet that surprises people. You definitely got to stay on just keep your eye on the ball there. Okay.
And that is definitely a game of strategy because now you really are thinking it through, and it's quite challenging.
That's fantastic.
For the younger ones, we've got boogie fractions.
Okay.
So what you do is you roll up, you fold up a piece of paper into a block, a nice square, and that would be a hole. And you turn up the music, and they've got to dance on their piece of paper. And then when the music stops, you then take that piece of paper and you fold it in half. If you fold it in half, you're going to get
a half.
And then you start the music and they're going to dance on the paper. And then, of course, you stop the music and you fold that half in half. And now it becomes a quarter. And then, of course, you keep going until it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And you see who can continue dancing on the smallest dance floor. So it's really a lot of fun for the kids, the little ones, to see that the paper gets smaller by a half each time. And that is also a nice way to introduce what half of a half is and show them that a quarter is actually half of a half and an eighth is half of a quarter. And they can actually see that visually when you fold them back out to the whole again.
Yeah, that's lovely. And also the other thing about it is the paper gets thicker.
Completely. So it gets very interesting. This one is one of my favorites. Do you know how to play the game Battleships or War?
Battleships, yeah.
Okay, so we take a deck of cards, we split it in 2, you get half, I get half.
I've never played it with cards. I've always played, sorry, I beg your pardon. The game I know of Battleships is you draw it out.
Locate where so let me
that's the only one I know. So this is a new one to me.
Okay, so the way Battleships works, and I'll just move these cards over here so you can see the old style of Battleships goes like this. You get half the deck, I get half the deck, and you flip We both flip our cards over. I got a 6. You get an 8. That means you win that round. You grab both those cards and they are yours.
Okay.
Now
do they go
you
back in my deck or do they go on the table?
No, you just put them on the table. And then
Okay.
over here, I've got a 6. You've got a 3. So I win. I'll just take them over there. Then you flip a card over. You get an ace and I get a 10. Now an ace in battleships is either a 1 or an 11.
Yeah.
And of course, I got a 10, which means you beat me by 1. So you get to take those cards. And at the end of the day, the person who gets the most cards, that is a good sign. But if you want to win the game, then what you do is you want to make sure you win all your opponent's cards. So this game takes a long time to play. It's great for very basic numeracy where you're trying to teach kids the value of numbers. And of course, if you get a picture card, picture cards, let's just get 1 or 2. A king, for example, is worth 13. A queen is worth 12. And a jack is worth 11.
But an ace is only worth 11. An ace isn't 14.
And an ace is worth 11. It depends. Some people play that it goes like this. Ace is the highest, then king, then queen, then jack, then 10, all the way down to 2. So I think let's stick with that one. And
because why would you ever want an ace to be low? If the idea is to, well, for this game, for the fractions game,
to get the hang of it. So I'll show you why. So we're going to go here. We got 10. We've got, let's put an 8 in over there. We need a jack somewhere along the line. Let's see if we've got a jack. No, we don't need an ace.
It's just something moving here because we're just looking at, I can just see a fraction war still slide. Is something supposed to be moving?
So you're not looking at my screen. Let's try that again. Because you see, in this program, when you share, I was sharing a tab. Silly me. Let's try that again. And I will share the correct tab. Let's see if that worked. And it is this one. All right. So you've got
hold on. I've got to add it in. I forgot to do that. Wow, that is cool. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So, and I'll share the link with this so you can also use it to play fun card math games as well. Okay. So this is the way it would work. You've got a 10. There we go. We got a 9, an 8, a 7. We've got a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and okay, so the cards work like this in value order, ace all the way down to 2.
Yeah, okay.
So let's pretend you have half your deck and I have half my deck. And we go ready, steady, flip. You flip your card, I flip my card. I got a 4. It beats your 3. I take those. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
Then you flip your card over here and I flip my card. I've got a 6. You beat me, so you take those 2. We keep going until all the cards are done. Then we take all the ones that we've collected so far. We put them all together, shuffle them up, and we start playing again. And we keep going until I eventually take all of your cards or you take all of my cards. But there is one extra thing. If, for example,
there's a finger coming out of your shoulder, just so in case you didn't know.
I can do that every now and again. If, for example, you put down a 5 and I put down a 5, that means we have tied.
Okay.
So then what happens is you then take, I'll show you, 1, 2, 3 cards.
Okay.
And I take 1, 2, 3 cards.
Yeah.
And then you flip the 4th card over. And then I flip my 4th card over.
Okay.
I win because my one was bigger than yours. So I grab all of these cards.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Battleships. It's a very simple game.
Yeah.
But now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the fractions version. So I'm going to move up some of these cards just so that they're out of the way. And I just want to let the cat out because this cat is now meowing to go out.
Are you letting the cat out of the bag? Out of the office?
Right. So here we go. I'm going to give you 2 cards, and I'm going to get 2 cards.
And now we're playing
place a pencil in between.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you flip your cards over. You've
okay.
got, and now
I've got 12 over 6. I've got 2.
Let's pretend you've got the queen. That would be 12 over 6, which is 2.
I've got 2. I'm doing well. I'm
Ooh,
yes, I won.
I've got 12 over 11, which is bigger. 12 over 6 or 12 over 11?
It's a good question, isn't it? But I definitely won that one. But it's counterintuitive, isn't it? That's what the fraction wall's about, to look at that. And actually, they could use the fraction wall if they're not too sure. They could use the fraction wall to decide who wins that game. They work very well together.
What would happen if I had queen over jack, which is 12 over 11. You've got queen over 11 or 1. Yeah,
no, there's no question whatsoever. I go for the 1. I want the ace to be worth 1 there.
I just wanted to realize that the denominator, the higher the value.
Yes, exactly. And having to make that decision can really help a learner work that out.
Correct.
Nice
but now,
one.
What would happen
Very
if
nice.
You did this? What would happen if you got 10 over 5?
Okay, so I got 2.
10 over 6. Who's winning?
Okay, then we get the 3, 3, 3. We get all the 3, 3, 3s going on.
So then we've tied. So then you're going to have to bring 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And I bring 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And then you flip.
And now do we have to do another? Is it just 1 card, or do you have to do another fraction?
I'm putting an extra 2 there. And I'm putting an extra 2 here.
Oh,
and
my
flip
goodness.
Those 2. 1, 2. You've got 8 over 5. And let's say I got 13
over 7.
8.
No. It wasn't that one. It was the 7. For some reason, it's gone down to the bottom.
7. Oh,
so that's you've got 2. Oh, no, this is you've won. You've got 2, and I've got
7, you got 8 over 5.
8 over 5. So you've won.
Well, which is bigger, 8 over 5
or
12 over 7?
I thought that's 14. Oh, it's 13 over 7. Oh my! Oh no! Now this one, I would definitely need the fraction wall. Oh my! Sorry, I thought it was 14. It's 13. Yeah, you've definitely. I'd need a fraction wall to have a look at that, or a calculator.
Completely. So what you'll notice is that I find that all of a sudden the kids start taking fractions very seriously because there's a game involved and they could win cards and they don't want to lose. So they actually go and understand the maths facts just so that they can beat their brother or sister at the game.
No, this is great. This is really great. So I'm playing this, and I'm playing this with my tutees. This is awesome.
And what I've done is I'm just putting my phone on silent. I've also just I've put this link for this particular website in the document. So if anyone want to play card games online, you can use that as well.
Can 2 people play simultaneously, or does one person have to control it?
So what happens is when you click on the share the room code, then all of a sudden you get that code here. I can share that with you, and you can have 2 or 3 or 4 players. And what's really nice is when you set up the board, you click on edit the table.
Yeah.
And over here, I've put 1 card, 1 deck of cards. I can actually look at the bottom over here and go add another deck of cards. Let me drag it on. Did it work? No, there it is.
Oh, you can do the Spanish deck as well.
You can do
Caballo,
Spanish
Sota
deck.
y Rey.
And, of course, you can add peg pieces. Which ones do you want? How many of each one do you want? So you have to play around with it a little bit. There are also automated ones, player seats, turn on buttons, timers, dice, random spinners.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, there's quite a few things. It does take a while to learn. You can even add a chessboard. So then if you're going to add your pieces, you could play drafts and checkers against each other, that type of thing.
And cribbage and backgammon.
And then once you've done that, you just click on refresh. And hopefully if it's refreshing, then your whole board will be there with all the new things that you've added on.
Oh my goodness.
So that was Fraction Wars using cards. And of course, you can take an actual deck of cards and play that in real life. You don't have to
absolutely. I mean,
grab your cards and put them down with a pencil in between, and off you go.
Oh, fantastic!
So that's was my
brilliant.
Wars. What was the next game? This is one of my favorites. Okay, so let me explain the history of this game. I was in the USA, and I was with my very good friend David and his family, and they introduced me to a game called Spoons. Do you know about Spoons?
I don't know now. I might know it and I might not. Go on. Tell us about it.
It is insane. Everyone sits in a circle at the table, and what you do is you hand out 4 cards to each person.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 4, you've got 4, the next person's got 4, and you choose who is going first. Let's pretend I'm going first. I look at my cards and I need to get 4 of a kind.
Okay.
So if I don't have 4 of a kind, let's say I've got 2 queens. I need another 2 queens. And you can mix several decks together. It's not like you're only playing with one deck.
So it's feasible to get 4 of a kind. It would happen fairly regularly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 of a kind. I've got, let's say, 2 queens. I need another 2 queens. So I throw out 2 cards to the person on my left. They can either use those 2 and take them into their pack and then give another 2 to the person on their left.
Yeah.
Or they can just pass those 2 on to the person on their left.
And this hand disappears randomly. Sorry.
They're all going around, either choosing to keep those cards that someone... Now, of course, once that happens, I then get my cards and I'm looking and I'm thinking, well, those 2 didn't help me. I'm going to go again. I'm going to throw out another 2. And I grab, the dealer gives me another 2.
I'm sorry. I'm totally distracted by your arms with sorry. So you could pass on 2 cards. That person can keep them, pass them on. Presumably they can keep 1 and pass.
Okay, so I'm going to draw it for you because it does make sense when I draw it. It does take a while to learn, but once you get it, it's actually a very simple game. So I'm going to see if I can. Let's go to share screen.
I'm poised to actually put it in the view this time. We've got someone watching.
There we go.
Stream. Okay, let's see if we've got it right. Is this the right screen? It's blank at the moment.
It should be a blank screen. Yes.
Okay, cool.
This is my whiteboard. So here we've got, for example, 4 people sitting at a table. Person number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Person number 1 gets 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so does person number 2. So does person number 3. And so does person number 4. And then you've got the dealer. Person 5 is the dealer. Everyone sits out around to be the dealer.
Okay.
Okay. So person number 1 looks at their cards. Let's pretend they've got a queen and a queen, but these 2 are not helping at all.
Okay.
So they throw out these 2 to the person on their left.
Mm-hmm.
You, as person number 2, might need one of those cards.
Mm-hmm.
So what you will do is keep the one that you want and then throw out one that you don't want with the other one that you were just given.
But can I only throw out 2?
You can only... No. Yes, you can only throw out 2.
Okay.
Okay. And you pass it, whatever you're not using, to the next person. They, in turn...
But I can throw out just 1. Can I keep 3 and only throw 1 out?
Let's say, for example, I give you these 2. One of them is a 4 and one of them is a 7. And you've got a 7 here. You think, hey, I need that 7.
Yeah.
So you keep the 7 and you throw out your queen, which you didn't need, and you throw out the 4, which you didn't want as well.
I'm now conscious of the fact that number 1 only has 2 cards, but number 2 has 4 cards, even after they've
because
thrown.
of course, number 1 says I'm throwing out 2 cards, and the dealer gives them 2 new cards.
Right. Thank you. Okay.
Does
Right.
that make sense?
Now I'm happy.
So number 4 has got their 4 cards.
Yeah. Okay.
He still only got 2 queens.
Okay.
So that's not helping him. Number 2 has now got 2 7s. That's
but
very good.
Number 1 doesn't have to throw out 2 cards. Number 1 could throw out 1 card.
Correct. I can even throw out all 4 cards if I wanted to.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But then number 2 gets to choose how many of those 4, if I'm throwing out 4, they want to keep, and how many they want to give out to the next person.
Okay.
And then so it's kind of like the person who's 3rd and 4th, they get like whatever the others don't want, but actually whatever they are throwing out, number 3 might need.
Yeah, exactly.
So no one actually knows what 3 or 4 actually needs.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the fun part gets. So let's pretend one of us gets 4 in a row. Let's say number 2 has got 4 7s. Then in the middle of the table, there are 3 spoons. Because if there are 4 players, you have 3 spoons.
Literally 3 spoons.
3 spoons.
Okay.
And as soon as one of them gets 4 of a kind, they grab a spoon.
Okay.
And then the others stop what they're doing and grab a spoon each. And whoever does not grab a spoon, they get the letter S. Okay. You play the game again. If they don't get the spoon again, they get a P. And then they get an O, then they get an O, then they get an N. And if they spell spoon, they are out of the game. And you take out a spoon.
Right. Okay.
And you keep playing until there's 2 players and 1 spoon.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm still wondering if people have to have 4 cards in their hand and only 4.
You always have to have 4 cards.
Always have to have 4. Okay.
If I'm player number 3 and player number 2 passes 3 cards to me, I look at those 3 and say, you know what? I don't need any of them. I'm going to pass them on to player number 4. Let's pretend I want to keep this one because it's a 4 and I've actually got 2 4s.
Yeah.
I keep 1, but then I'm going to throw an extra one of mine out with those 2 so I can give my next door neighbor 3 cards.
Okay, but in that case, so you must give out 3. What about if you want to give out more than 3? So you end up with less cards. Can you do that?
No, you have to always have 4.
So the only one that can do that is the first player.
Correct. And then player number 4, once they keep their cards or take some, whatever they throw out gets discarded.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So number 1 never receives from the other players.
They only receive from the dealer.
Okay.
Now, how does that translate into fractions?
Right. I knew that was coming. I can read your mind. I knew that was coming.
Were you reading my mind?
I was. Well, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm reading. I knew you were going to say that. I'm so that in tune with you.
Share my screen again. And here we go.
He's doing it again.
You don't get a regular deck of cards.
Oh, no, I'm not seeing you. Wait. Add to stream. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I'm ready.
You don't get a regular deck of cards. You get fraction cards. And you need 4 equivalent fractions.
Okay.
So if you've got a quarter and 3/12, that's still the same thing. You'll keep those 2. But if you've got 6, and so you can have 8 people sitting in a circle with 7 spoons, and you keep playing it down until it gets to the last spoon. I can tell you, after playing this game with David and his family, I realized some people take this a little bit more seriously than others. I saw blood drawn when they were grabbing those spoons. Chairs went flying. it's like whenever they have a get together, it is the big game that they all meet around the table. It is hysterical because if you're not concentrating, everyone else starts grabbing spoons, and you sitting there looking at your cards, you are going to be caught with your pants down. I think that's the expression. Not a great expression.
Without your spoon.
Well, you'll be caught without your spoon. So the nice thing about this is that you can now download all of these fraction cards.
Okay, that was my next question. Yeah.
So there we go. You can access all of those.
Lovely.
This one is a lovely game. It is Fraction Pictionary. So I give you a fraction and I give you a word, and you've got to use the word and the fraction together.
Okay.
Without writing the actual fraction or the word. You've got to draw it. So let's say, for example, I say to you, can you draw the moon and thirds?
Right,
How do you do a third of a moon? Well, I suppose you could start to draw a moon, and then you could try and chop it up into 3 bits. But are they really thirds? You see, that could be a tricky one.
Oh, do they have to be exactly thirds?
Well,
I mean, you're going to be finicky about it.
Moon and third, they've done very well.
Like 2/3 of that apple. I mean, is that really 2/3 of that apple?
Well, it's not really 2/3 of the apple, but for the younger kids, they get a sense of, oh, I see. It's 3 parts. 2 of them are colored in. It must be 2/3. And the picture is an apple. It's 2/3 of an apple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's you guessing a fraction and a picture.
Yeah. That's good.
So it's a double threat, and that's quite cool. And I suppose you can make a whole bunch of words and fractions, put them together, and then see how many the kids can draw on the board in the classroom, and the rest of the class can try and guess it, or you can do them at home as well.
Yeah.
This one's a great one. You get 4 random cards, you shuffle them, and then you flip them over, and you race to see who can get them in ascending order from smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest.
Yeah.
So what you could do is you could have a little spinner, one that says biggest to smallest, or smallest to biggest. And you spin the wheel. And if it says smallest to biggest, then when they flip their cards over, they've got to then rearrange them and put them in the right order from smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest.
Right. So
I think it's quite a cool game. In fact, what you could even do is you could invest in a little bell. You know those little bells they have at the hotel when you go ting ting for service?
Ding, yeah.
You could put one of those down, and the first one to ring the bell, if they have actually got their correct cards in the right order, then they get to win all those cards.
Right. I like it if they're playing in pairs and they have to check each other's. So the one that says they've won, but their friend has to check their
absolutely,
cards
and
in
they'll
that way.
argue. No, 1/6 is not bigger than 2/4. Well, let's prove it. And then, of course, one thing I've discovered that when it becomes a game, you'd be amazed how advanced these kids can learn fractions just to beat an opponent.
Yeah.
You need to learn them in class. No, we can't do that. You need them to play a game against their brother or sister. They'll go 5 grades ahead just to beat their brother or sister.
Right. Nice one.
Those were my several games that I was sharing today. And of course, what I will do is I'll share the link with this Google Doc. You can share it with whoever you like. They are welcome to use it any way they like. And just to give credit, I did look at Teachers Pay Teachers, because many of these games were listed on things like Pinterest and Teachers Pay Teachers. So I was looking to see if I could find ideas, and that is where I sourced my ideas. So I will post that in the chat for you, and you can then obviously share that with anyone who is interested in learning these fun fraction games.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. So out of those ones, which ones were ringing bells for you?
Without having played the spoons, I'm not very, very keen on Snap, those games where everyone has to grab something, because number one, I never grab it, and number two, you can get hurt. So
plastic spoons are okay.
Yeah, plastics, but even just the hands going in, you can scratch each other and stuff. I'm like,
completely. And that's why I say, I mean, it's for a family that is very brave.
Yeah,
that wants to play that sort of game.
I love the sorting one. And as you say, it's great. But my favorite was the what did you call it? Fraction Wars.
Fraction Wars.
That was my favorite. Wars.
Fraction Wars or Walls?
What did you call it?
Fraction Wars, as in a battle, a war.
Yeah. That's what you called it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Fraction Wars was my favorite. And you can use the fraction wall to help you decide who's won the fraction war.
Absolutely. So, isn't it so nice that you've got a couple of manipulatives or tools to have next to you, and then while you are using those tools, you can check to see if you have actually won or not. So it's not going to be a speed game. It is going to be a game of, hold on, I need you to double check to see if you actually beat me, because I don't want you to take those cards without me double checking.
Too right. We've both got to agree. Yeah. And I do love the sorting. I can see there's so much you've got to think about there, and there's a huge amount of learning, and I can see that the fun is, and the one that wins gets the cards. Yes. It's great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And if you are looking for manipulatives, there are a lot of teachers who often look for things that are useful for looking at fractions and stuff. Then I would highly recommend you look at Mathagon. Have you ever been to Mathagon before?
I might have. I've got the worst memory in the world, Steve. How's it spelled?
I'll share it with you. This is the Mathagon, and I'll put it in the document as well. This is what they call the PolyPad.
Oh, I've got the document there, the docs. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll add this link into the doc as well. But if you sharing, because I'm sharing the screen now with Mathagon, if you go
Hold on, I've got to put it in 1 second. I've got to put it in 1 second. And Kerpow, we got it.
Okay, so this is the Mathagon website.
Oh no, it came off again. Hold on. Oh, now there it is.
Yeah, this is the Mathagon website. Lots of great activities for teachers and parents, but in particular, they've got a thing called the PolyPad. And if you go along to the PolyPad, you'll notice you can go to fractions and fraction bars, and here are all your fraction bars. You can even go to your fraction circles. So you've got your pies and things like that.
Does this depend on having technology, or can this be downloaded? Because
this is, as far as I know, this is all internet based. So just in case people do have access to the devices, if I put one over here and I put two halves, clearly I can see that those two are equivalent.
Yeah.
What is interesting is that if I click on it, I can then split the tiles. So if I split them, can you see that?
Uh-huh.
I can actually manipulate them by going like, let's see if I can split them again. Split them. So now I have two halves.
Right, that you've actually got two halves rather than
on top of that one to see if they blend. And of course, if I click on it and I click on this one as well, I can merge the tiles. And now I can take parts and actually merge them and split them. And then there are a whole bunch of other features as well. You can use some of these little tools on the bottom over here. You've got equation editor. Over here, for example, you can add a grid. So if you want to, you can then put the blocks like this into the actual squares and count how many blocks there are. You can change the grid background into dots if you are doing pentamers or something like that, where you're actually joining a line from one dot to another dot. So you can join a line from there to there. You can do so many things with this particular thing. And of course, fraction circles. if you've got one half and another half, I can then obviously turn it upside down, and I've got a hole. And how many sixes could I fit into that hole?
Right. Yeah.
So I could put one in there. And of course, I could then duplicate. You see, it's got copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I could put that in there, but I need to just kind of turn it a little bit. Let's see if that will fit. Oh, look at that. Quite snug. And then I could click on that and go to duplicate. And then
That's
how
you can do your moon. Oh, I like that one as well. I liked what did you call it? The game with where they had to draw the fractions and the word
Yes.
and the fraction, whatever that game was called. That's a nice one as well.
So there are lots of cool manipulatives that you can use for this particular thing. You can even obviously write and say this over here is 1/6. So you can ask them to write down these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an extra tool that one could use. And I'll copy that and paste that into the fractions document so that if they are going to access the Google Doc, they can also have that resource as well. I'll put that at the top there, Mathagon. And there is the link for Mathagon as well.
Fantastic. Lovely.
So hopefully there were some ideas there for teachers and students to learn to play with fractions, and hopefully it will help to develop a better understanding of those fractions if they actually do it through play.
And more fluency.
Completely.
Understanding and fluency, yeah.
Paper, pen, and of course just a pack of cards, and you've got enough to play some of those games already at home.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve. And I look forward to our next encounter. It's always so wonderful. I will get to South Africa next year. Come hell or high water, I'm going to get there. So I will see you then. But of course, I'll see you hopefully before on the...
Well, you are going to be involved with Math Week in Ireland?
Yes, but I'm only doing a couple of sessions. I'm doing the Happy Maths Hour on the Monday afternoon, and I'm doing I think it's a special needs session on, I don't know, it's an early years session, and I'm still hoping to build the giant tetrahedron. Sure. And that'll be obviously a live event through the internet, live online event, but at Maths City. I'm hoping to do it at Maths City, and if it doesn't work for Maths Week Ireland, I'll still do it at Maths City, but just as part of maybe Maths Week England.
That is incredible, because I do know that I'm probably doing about no less than 20 events for Maths Week Ireland.
Yeah,
so
you're taking over.
Schedule all these things because I'm teaching online classes. Because we run mathematics from you call it Key Stage 1, the kindergarten.
Just ages. Just give the ages. 9, yeah.
And I'm doing that like twice or 3 times a week for a few hours. So I'm trying to squeeze in all of these sessions. It's going to be absolutely insane, but hopefully we'll make it.
You have become the man. You're the online king. So you.
But I'm also teaching in person too. So it's exhausting.
My goodness. You're saving Maths Week Ireland, I reckon.
No. They're saving me. They're keeping me busy and off the streets.
Oh yeah, no, that's important. Keep Steve off the streets. Goodness sake.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I hope you'll have me back, and we can chat about other maths games and other cool ideas for teachers and parents and kids to really engage with maths in a fun way.
I would definitely want you on as often as possible. Thank you so much, Steve. And give my love to your lovely ladies.
I will do so. Okay.
And the cat.
And the 2 of them, and the one has just made sure she signed her signature on my shoulder. All right.
Okay, take care. Lots of love.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.